What's up, guys? It is me, Lord Sci-Fi. I'm back with the video. For me, it is like 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. Let me check. Yeah, it is 8:48, so it is like 12 to 9. I've been awake for a little bit. I'm still a little tired. A little cough, but I'm fine. I haven't eaten yet. I'm gonna film this video. The chapter's not that long. About Grievous. The ARC 170s of Squad 7 had joined the V-Wings of Squad 4 in swarming the remaining Vulture fighters that had screened the immense Trade Federation flagship Invisible Hand. Clone pilots destroyed droid after droid with machine-like precision of their own. When the last of the Vultures had been converted to an expanding globe of superheated gas, the clone fighters peeled away, leaving Invisible Hand exposed to the full fire of the Home Fleet Strike Group 5, 3 Karak-class light cruisers, Integrity, Indomitable, and Perseverance, in support of the dreadnought Maz Randar. The Strike Group 5 had deployed in a triangle around Maz Ramdar, maintaining a higher orbit to pin Invisible Hand deep in Coruscant's gravity, while curve lasers blasted against Invisible Hand's faltering shields, but the flagship was giving as good as it got, as Maz Ramdar had sustained so much damage already that it was little more than a target to absorb the Hand's return fire. And Indomitable was only a shell, most of its crew dead or evacuated, being run remotely by its commander and bridge crew. It swung unsteadily through the Hand's vector cone of escape routes to block any attempt to run up toward jump. As its shields finally failed, Invisible Hand began to roll, whirling like a bullet from a rival slug thrower, trailing spiral jets of crystallizing gas that gushed from multiple hull ruptures. The rolling picked up speed, breaking the targeting locks of the ship's Republic adversaries. Unable to pan the same point again and again, their turbo lasers weren't powerful enough to breach the Hand's heavy armor directly. Their tracking points became rings that circled the ship, chewing gradually into the hull and tightening garrotes of fire. On the Hand's bridge, overheated Nemonians were strapped into their battle stations at full crash webbing. The air reeked of burning metal and the funk of reptilian stress hormones, and the erratically shifting gravity threatened to add a sharper stench to the faces of several of the bridge officers had already paled from healthy green to nauseated pink. The sole being on the bridge, who was not strapped into a chair, stalked from one side to the other, floor-length cape draped over shoulders, angular as exposed bone. He ignored the jolts of impact and was unaffected by the swirl of unpredictable gravity. As he paced the deck with metal and metal clanks, he walked on to lone creations of magnetized uranium, jointed to grab and crush like the feet of a Radixen blood eagle. His expression could not be read. His face was a mask of bleached ceramic armorplast, stylized to evoke a humanoid skull, but the pure venom in the voice that hissed through the mask's electrosonic vocabulator made up for it. I get up the gravity generators, calibrated or disabled them altogether. He snarled a blue scan image of a cringing Nemonian engineer. If this continues, you won't live long enough to be killed by the Republic. But, sir, it's really up to the repair droids, and because they are droids, it's useless to threaten them, And because they are droids, it's useless to threaten them, so I'm threatening you, understand? He turned away before the stammering engineer could summon a reply. The hand he extended toward the forward's view screen, where a jointed gauntlet of armorplast fused to its bones of duranium alloy. Concentrate fire on Indomitable. he told the senior gunnery officer, all batteries at maximum. Fire for effect. Blast the Hulk out of space, and we'll make a hyperspace jump through its wreckage. But the forward towers are already overloading, sir. The officer's voice trembled on the edge of panic. They'll be at critical failure in less than a minute. Burn them out. But sir, once they're gone. The rest of the senior gunnery officer's objection was lost in the wetly final crunching sound of his face made under the impact of an armor-plast fist. That same fist seized the collar of the officer's uniform and yanked his corpse out of the chair, ripping the crash webbing free along with it. An expressionless skull face turned toward the junior gunnery officer. Congratulations on your promotion, did you, puss? Yes, sir. The newly promoted senior gunnery Facer's hand shook so badly he could barely unbuckle his crash web, and his face had gone deathly pink. Do you understand your orders? Do you have any objections? Very well, then, General Grievous said with flat, impenetrable calm. Carry on. This is General Grievous. Durasteel, ceramic armor, plated duranium, electric drivers, and crystal circuitry within them. The remnants of a living being. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't eat, he cannot laugh, and he does not cry. A lifetime ago he was an organic sentient being. A lifetime ago he had friends, a family, an occupation. A lifetime ago he had things to love and things to fear. Now he has none of these. Instead he has purpose. It's built into him. He is built to intimidate. The resemblance to a human skeleton melded with limbs styled after the legendary Krath war droids is entirely intentional. It is a face and form born of childhood's infinite nightmares. He's built to dominate. The ceramic armor plates, protecting limbs and torso and face that could stop a burst from a starfighter's laser cannon. Those indestructible arms are 10 times stronger than humans and move with the blurring speed of electronic reflexes. He's built to eradicate. Those human-sized hands have human-sized fingers for exactly one reason: to hold a lightsaber. 4 of them hang inside his cloak. He has never constructed a lightsaber. He has never bought one, nor has he recovered one that was lost. Each and all, he was taken from the dead hands of a Jedi he has killed personally. He has many such trophies. The 4 he carries with him are his particular favorites. One belonged to the interminable Kruk, who has bested whom he had bested at Hypori, and another to the Virentees Jedi Jamar, who'd fallen at Vandos. The 2 other had been created by Peroth and Nistamal, whom Grievous had slaughtered together on the flame-grass plains of Tovar's School, so that each would know the other's death as well as their own. These are murders he recalls with so much pleasure that touching these souvenirs with his hands of armor, plast, and durasteel brings him something resembling joy, but he only resembling. He remembers joy, he remembers anger and frustration, he remembers grief and sorrow. He doesn't actually feel any of them, not anymore. He's not designed for it. White hot sparks zipped and crackled through the smoke that billowed across the turbo-lift lobby. Over Anakin's shoulder, the unconscious Jedi Master wheezed faintly beside his other shoulder. Palpatine coughed harshly into the sleeve of his robe, who held all over his face for protection from caustic combustion products of the overloading circuitry. Too. Anakin shook his calmly sharply. The blasted thing had been on the blink ever since Obi-Wan had stepped on it during one of the turbo-lift fights. Too, do you copy? I need you to activate. The smoke was so thick he could barely make out the numerals on the code plates. Elevator 3224. 3224. Do you copy? The comlink emitted a fading "fweep." That might have been an acknowledgement, and the doors slid apart, But before Anakin could carry Obi-Wan through the turbolift pod, the turbolift pod shot upward, and the artificial gravity vector shifted again, throwing him and his partner into a heap next to Palpatine in the lobby's opposite corner. Palpatine was struggling to rise, still coughing, sounding weak. Anakin let the Force lift Obi-Wan back to his shoulder, then picked himself up. Perhaps you should stay down, sir, he said to the Chancellor. The gravity swings are getting worse. Palpatine nodded. But Anakin looked up. The turbolift doors still stood open. Wait here, sir. He placed himself more fully to the Force, and in his mind placed himself and Obi-Wan balanced on the edge of the open doorway above. Holding this image, he leapt, and the Force made his intention into reality. His leap carried him and the unconscious Jedi Master precisely to the rim. The altered gravitic vector had made the turbolift shaft into a horizontal hallway of unlit durasteel, laser straight shrinking into darkness. Anakin was familiar with the specs for Trade Federation command cruisers. The angled conic spire was some 300 meters long. As it stood, they could walk it in 2 or 3 minutes, but if the wrong gravity ship were to catch them in the side shaft, he shook his head, grimly calculating the odds. We'll have to be fast. He glanced back over his shoulder down at Palpatine, who still huddled below. Are you all right, Chancellor? Are you well enough to run? The Supreme Chancellor finally rose, patting his robes, in a futile attempt to dust them off. I haven't run since I was a boy on Naboo. It's never too late to start getting into shape. Anakin reached through the Force to give Palpatine a little help in clambering to the open doorway. There are light shuttles on the hangar deck. We could be there in 5 minutes. Once Palpatine was safely within the shaft hall, Anakin said, Follow me, and turned to go, but the Chancellor stopped him with a hand on his arm. Anakin, wait, we need to get to the bridge. Through an entire ship full of combat droids? Not likely. The hangar deck's right below. Well, beside us, now it's our best chance. But the bridge, Grievous is there. Anakin did stop Grievous, the most prolific slaughterer of Jedi since Dirge. In all the excitement, Anakin had entirely forgotten that the bio-droid general was aboard. You've defeated Dooku, Palpatine said. Capture Grievous, and you have dealt a wound from which the Separatists may never recover. Anakin thought blankly. I could do it. He had dreamed of capturing Grievous ever since Moonlist, and now the general was close, so close Anakin could practically smell him, and Anakin had never felt so powerful. The Force was with him today, and way more potent than he had ever experienced. Think of Anakin. Palpatine stood close by his shoulder, opposite to Obi-Wan, so close he needed only to whisper, "You destroy the political head. Take the military commander, and you will have practically won the war, single-handed. Who else could do that, Anakin? Yoda, Mace Windu? They couldn't even capture Dooku. Who would have a chance against Grievous, if not Anakin Skywalker? The Jedi have never faced a crisis like the Clone Wars, but also they have never had a hero like you. You could save them. You could save everyone." Anakin jerked, startled. He turned a sharp glance toward Palpatine. The way he said that, like a voice out of his dreams. That's... Anakin tried to laugh. It came out a little shaky. That's not what Obi-Wan keeps telling me. Forget Obi-Wan, Palpatine said. He has no idea how powerful you truly are. Use your power, Anakin. Save the Republic. Anakin could see it vivid as a HoloNet feature, arriving at the Senate with Grievous and Electro Bond standing modestly aside as Palpatine announced the end of the war, returning to the temple, to the council chamber, where finally, after all this time, there would be a chair waiting just for him. They could hardly refuse him mastership now, after he had won the war for them. But then Obi-Wan shifted on his shoulder, moaning faintly, and Anakin snapped back to reality. No, he said, sorry, Chancellor, my orders are clear. It's a rescue mission. Your safety is my only priority. I will never be safe while Grievous lives, Palpatine countered. Master Kenobi will recover at any moment. Leave him here with me. He can see me safely to the hangar deck. Go for the general. I would like to, sir, but I can make it in order, Anakin. With respect, sir, no. You can't. My orders come from the Jedi Council. The Council's orders come from the Senate. You have no direct authority. The Chancellor's face darkened. That may change. Anakin nodded. And perhaps it should, sir. But until it does, we'll do things my way. Let's go. Sir. Sir. The thin voice of the comm officer interrupted Grievous's pacing. We are being hailed by integrity, sir. They propose a ceasefire. Dark yellow eyes squinted through the skull mask at the tactical displays. A pause in the combat would allow invisible hands, turbo lasers, batteries to cool, and give the engineers a chance to get the gravity generators under control. Acknowledge receipt of transmission. Stand by to cease fire. Acknowledge receipt of transmission. Stand by to cease fire. Standing by, sir. The gunnery officer was still shaking. Ceasefire. The lances of energy that had joined the hand to the home fleet strike force melted away. Further transmission, sir. Its integrity's commander presented. Initiate. A ghostly image built itself above the ridge's ship-to-ship hollow generator. A young human male of distinctly average height and build, wearing the uniform of a lieutenant commander. The only thing distinctive about his otherwise rather bland features was the calm confidence in his eyes. General Grievous, the young man said briskly, I am Lieutenant Commander Lorth Nita of RSS Integrity. At my request, my superiors have consented to offer you the chance to surrender your ship, sir. Surrender. Grievous's vocabulary produced a very credible reproduction of a snort. Preposterous. Preposterous. Please give this offer careful deliberation, General, as it will not be repeated. Consider the lives of your crew. Grievous cast an icy glance around his bridge, full of craven audience. Why should I? The young man did not look surprised, though he did show a trace of sadness. Is this your reply, then? Not at all. Grievous drew himself up by straightening the angles of his leverage joints. He could add half a meter to his already imposing height. I have a counter offer. Maintain your ceasefire. Move that whole condominable out of my way and withdraw to a minimum range of 50 kilometers until the ship achieves hyperspace jump. If I may use your words, sir, preposterous. Tell these superiors of yours that if my demands are not met with 10 minutes, I will personally disembowel Supreme Chancellor Palpatine live on the holonet. Am I understood? The young officers took this without a blink. Ah, the Chancellor is aboard your ship, then. He is? He is. Your pathetic Jedi so-called heroes have failed. They are dead. And Palpatine remains in my hands. Ah, the young officer repeated. So you will, of course, allow me to speak with him. To, reassure my superiors that you were not simply, well, to put it charitably, bluffing. I will not lower myself to lie to the likes of you. Grievous turned to the comm officer. Patch and Count Dooku. The comm officer stroked his screen, then shook his head. He's not responding, sir. Grievous shook his head disgustedly. Just show the Chancellor, then. Bring up my quarters on the security screen. The security officer stroked his own screen and made a choking sound. Sir? Sir? What are you waiting for? Bring it up. He'd gone as pink as the gunner. Perhaps you should have a look first, sir. The plain urgency in his tone brought Grievous to his side without another word. The general bent over the screen that showed the view inside his quarters and found himself looking at jumbled piles of energy-sheared wreckage surrounding the empty shape of the general's chair, and that looked like it could have been a body, draped in a cape of armor weave. Grievous turned back toward the inner ship, hollow calm. The Chancellor is indisposed. Ah, I see. Grievous suspected that the young officer saw entirely too well. I assure you, I do not require your assurance, General. You have the same amount of time you offered us. 10 minutes from now, I'll have either your surrender or confirmation that Supreme Chancellor Palpatine is alive, unharmed, and present or invisible hand will be destroyed. Wait, you can't simply... 10 minutes, General. Nita out. When Grievous turned to the bridge security officer, his mask was blankly expressionless as ever, but he made up for it with the open murder in his voice. Dooku's dead, and the Jedi are loose. They have the Chancellor. Find them and bring them to me. His armor plastic fingers curled into a fist that crashed down on the security console so hard the entire thing collapsed into a sparking, smoking ruin. Find them! That's the end of the 5th chapter I have read. Because I have the Dark Lord book, which is the sequel to the Revenge of the 5th book, and I have Labyrinth of Evil, which is the prequel. I need to read all of them. This chapter was good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later.